Hello, and welcome to Nerdy Unreal Dev. Today it's going to be a little bit weird since adjusting to the new update schedule. Um, so Wednesday is supposed to be a how-to video. Only my original plan for a how-to video, the idea kind of blew up on me. Uh, it was originally going to be simple. Well, actually, wrong. The idea in my head sounded simple, and then I started putting it together, realized I needed a few things, and so now I have an asset list. And the how to video I was planning of sort of like lighting a horror game isn't going to happen for a bit as I sort of start working on various additional assets. I could just do it in an empty room, but I feel like you don't get the right mood or the right aesthetic if you do that. So what we're looking at here in Excel is it's actually how I typically set up asset lists, either for myself or if I'm working with a small group of people. So we're not going to be using like Hack and Plan or Trello. Um, and honestly, like this could work for various projects. Basically, assets needed, status. I have a drop down menu here. Not started, model complete, texture started, texture complete in engine. And for those wondering how I got this little drop down menu, now this works for both Excel and Google Sheets. You go over to data validation, data, settings, any value, list, ignore blank, and cell dropdown, and then you, uh, yeah, not started, separate with a comma, and then hit OK, and you have your little dropdown. And typically, I usually end up like copy pasting. If you copy paste it before there's anything, it's not going to put in the not started, but yeah. You can also make a blank option if you need the blank. But yeah, so data validation, it's in Google Sheets as well. Doing this is a nice way to organize the status of various assets. Then you can just make various sheets for types. Um, you can also do it for names, so like who's working on it, you can have a drop down of everyone's names. I know in Google Sheets you can change what the background looks like. So yeah, so very, very, very basic. What could be in a house? Oh, table lamp, floor lamp, ceiling lamp. And I figure, this will be a fancy looking scene, but it will be used for various videos. Have started on the bed. This is like the most uncomfortable looking mattress in the world. The true horror, the mattress. So I've got that started. I currently do not have ZBrush, so that's why this looks a little on the hard side. Need to actually UV it before I permanently duplicate it. That was just for where is everything? So soften edge. It's supposed to be a mattress, not a brick. Yeah. Also, instead of the normal beveling, I did hand beveling, I guess you could say, where I manual beveling, which I don't know if this is common, but it's basically when you take the cube or whatever and then actually manually adjust it, which takes longer, and you have to like really know what you're doing in order to make sure it looks soft. But there's also less risk of engons, which can be a problem. So yeah, so that video will likely take a bit. So for this Wednesday, this is just where I'm at with it. And for next Wednesday, I'll probably actually do what's probably more desired, which would be a Niagara to how to. I'm thinking either a blizzard in Niagara or possibly how to make fireflies using Niagara. So something fun, I guess you could say. So yeah, so this is extremely basic hard surface modeling bed. Sad thing is not having ZBrush means I can't do some of the really cool things with the bed frame. Because ZBrush has a thing where you can turn alphas into 3D models. So literally, if you have an alpha of like a swirly design, like a Baroque design, you could easily turn that into some sort of cool bed frame. Or for one project, I did it to get a sort of fancy relief. Because there was a decorative relief. So ZBrush has some pretty cool tools. I know Blender's up in the game a little. Eventually I will learn Blender, but for now, Maya and ZBrush are the workflow I know, so I'm using these tools. So due to not having ZBrush, it means that I get to be a little bit creative with my hard surface modeling and the tools Maya has. I know Maya technically has sculpting. There is this sculpting panel. No one ever uses Maya sculpting, so I'm just gonna go ahead and assume I should not even bother. And rather, what I have a habit of what I'm doing here is like putting lots of vertices, lots of edge loops. I'm holding down Control Shift. That's how I'm getting it to kind of stutter a bit to make it easier to find a center, and also how I'm getting it to loop all the way around. And what that is doing, the reason I am doing that is so that holding Shift, double click. B is soft select, and what soft select does is I'm holding down B and left click, and basically it has a bit of a fall off thing going on where it will grab the vertices along with the ones you selected, and it'll affect those vertices. And the more vertices you have, the smoother it looks. And then, of course, you can use it for like low poly to high poly modeling. So, and this isn't quite smooth enough for me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add some more vertices. And that's sort of like this sort of method, if you don't have access to a sculpting program like ZBrush, where you don't know how to use blenders and you don't have the time to learn how to use blenders. Well, time or energy. Basically, it's a quick and dirty method, even for just regular hard surface modeling, of getting some curves in there. In fact, it's actually a lower poly way of getting some curves in there because you don't have the like 10 million polygons to get that curve. No, you have as many polygons as you put in there. So, in fact, that's how, for this very uncomfortable looking bed, I got it to go in a bit. Is if you see here, got all these edge loops, and then I just grabbed in the center and pulled in. Reason I pulled in is because when actually looking at a bed, I noticed that, well, a used bed, that the center tends to dip in, and then above that, it doesn't. Of course, there should probably be dips in the bed itself, but let's not get that realistic. Oops. Wasn't quite in the center. So yeah, so hoping to get some sort of horror tutorial. I don't know why I'm going for a horror tutorial. I think it's because I have seen some really good cool ideas for cool lighting things that you could do with tutorials. I mean, not with tutorials. Cool lighting things you could do for horror games in Unreal, or just in general, that would provide, not necessarily a more immersive experience, but would make things more interesting, I feel. Or even would be a way of translating certain types of horror into games. So like this sort of like found footage, that sort of like appearance. There are ways you could theoretically make your game look like it. Oops. No, that's a little too extreme. There we go. Yeah, we only want this affected. Yeah, and of course the more, just like with sculpting, the more vertices you have, the more subtle you can get. Okay, I don't like that look as much as I thought I would. But what I will do is... No. This does mean this will still be kind of hard, but whatever. They're gonna cut their head on this very basic... Cut their hand on this very basic bed frame. And you can do that. There we go. And can actually just, instead of doing that, I'll probably UV this and decrease polys. But, and squish it down. Technically, what I should do is grab these vertices, get out of soft select, and pull them down, because otherwise there's a chance this might not be level with this. There you go. Look at that. Now we've got very basic bed, just needs probably play with a plane to give it a blanket, which will also cover up some of the not so softness of this bed. And then, yeah, get some pillows there, and that'll be one asset. Will just need to be textured. So, sorry for the lack of actual tutorial video. This is sort of the update on how big the Horror Tau 2 turned into. So expect some sort of Niagara Tau 2 next Wednesday. And also this Friday, I'm going to start playing the game 7, as that was made in Unreal Engine 4, if I recall correctly. And it was either that or Unreal Engine 3. And then, yeah, so assuming it doesn't give me any sort of technical problems, play through 7, then we'll see what other Friday Let's Play games there could be. Have a good one, and if you like this channel, you like my videos, subscribe, and consider donating to my coffee. Have a good one, y'all.